I'm just recording a video out of nowhere. But sometimes people have online diaries, and which is sometimes not the best thing because it's okay to keep things offline. But I feel like maybe this is like a hidden thing here that someone can resonate with. But I've been having so many thoughts today that focus on being neurodivergent in the world, and those thoughts really consisted of both purpose and connection with other people. And those things really go hand in hand because what kind of like purpose are we taught to have as people? You know? I'm speaking in like an American sense because I live in America. But it's kind of like superficial in the way where it's like people determine your worth based on your job or how much you make or whatever. And I think it's very rare to find anyone who appreciates like just the simple connection between two humans. And it's out there, I know it's out there. And this also brought me to another thought about how like it's so hard to make friends as a neurodivergent person, and I feel like obviously not for everyone because, you know, everyone's different, even if you fit in like neurotypical, neurodivergent category. It's like there's small things are different, but I feel like I hear this a lot from other neurodivergent people, especially online, about like the process of making friends. I'm sorry, I'm sick. But I get stuck on my words sometimes. But I'll hear people like recall things from when they were younger. And I don't think this all has to do with the fact that I am neurodivergent, but also the fact that I was pretty sheltered as a child. I feel like my mom was so scared of like anything happening to me that also bled into me not exploring friendship with people. And I guess maybe a lot of people don't view like a middle school or an elementary school friendship as like anything big, but when you have a lack of those things, or when you only had interactions at a school and never outside, and never like built friendship beyond just being in the same classroom, when you notice the lack of that, you realize how like important it can be sometimes. And it makes me a little sad. It makes me a little sad because it feels like I lost a big part of just a normal life. And it's not anything big, but you know, you hear like people with their friend groups. I just graduated high school, I'm in college now, and I mean, I'm only in my first ever semester of college, so I can like whatever. And I have made like 2 friends, but sometimes I wonder if like this is like the point where I'm like, is that all? Like, it's more so, it's not really anything deep, and that's fine. But sometimes you remember that like throughout your whole life you never really had like a deep, meaningful like relationship with someone who you could just like talk to, you could just chat with, you could just be just random, show your personality to. And that's what I mean by deep. is someone that you're like actually authentic around, and like you can talk about whatever, and like you can be two silly little dudes together. And I see people have those connections and I'm happy for them, but I'm also like, there's a certain like envy that comes out of that, because I never had that. And maybe I will one day. I don't want this to be like, oh, look at me, boo-hoo. But it does make you feel like you missed a big part of life when like you didn't have a friend group that you went to the mall with, or you went to the movie theaters with, or you played like sports with and whatnot. And then you hear other people have that. Or, I mean, I didn't even go to high school prom because I was like, there's not really anyone there for me to be buddies with the whole night, right? And I like to acknowledge, and I don't like to make myself feel bad about the fact that I don't really have that. Like, I'm comfortable with myself, but it's also not mentally amazing. It's also mentally very bad, and puts you in this headspace where you're like, well, is like, am I like worth hanging out with or whatnot? Like, there's something wrong with me, right? And I'm still young, like I'm still like a fucking child basically, but you hear people say things like, oh, if someone like has a bad like time keeping friends, or someone doesn't really have friends, that's a red flag. And I think that is a wild generalization, because you don't know someone. Just because you see that they don't really have friends doesn't mean that you automatically like know this person like that. Like, you can tell who they are, you can tell that that's for a reason, when most of the time it's because no one has given them a chance. They didn't learn proper social skills, or they were really sheltered. It could be so many different reasons. I know, as like I mentioned this in the beginning, like being neurodivergent also doesn't help with that, because a lot of neurodivergent people struggle with making friends, but here we are. Just all over the place. Me speaking all over the place, because that's just how I talk sometimes. And it's crazy because it's so hard for me to talk this freely with another person. I can do it with myself, and that's amazing. Like, it's always good to have a good relationship with yourself. There's obviously like internal stuff I have to deal with, especially like low self-esteem and whatnot, but that's something that so many people go through. But you know, I'm happy with the fact that I am comfortable with myself, but I want to get to the point where I'm comfortable with other people, where I am able to build connections with other people and not feel like I'm impersonating a person, because that's what it feels like most of the time. I'm impersonating someone, constantly trying to figure out what's the best thing to say. Should I say this? Should I not? Like, is this too off topic? You know, is it making it too much about me? Is it... Also, I'm fidgeting with my rings. I do that a lot. Like, I like having my rings on me, but like at the same time, I like to take them off and fidget. I fidget with them on, but I fidget with them off. Okay. Anyway, I That's okay, that's all I'm gonna say, honestly, sorry. My voice sounds weird. I honestly don't want to play this video back because I don't like listening to myself talk. I don't like my voice through videos. Like, I hear it so much differently in my head than I do what it actually sounds like, or what the camera picks up of it sounding like. But then I realize, like, a lot of people go through that. A lot of people feel that way about hearing themselves speak in a video. But everybody else is like, oh, whatever. It's just like how they speak. Like, who cares? But you make a big deal out of it because whatever. And I also haven't been looking at the camera the whole time because there's some reason I don't like looking at the camera. This thing right here. I don't like looking at it too much. Maybe it's like I'm treating the camera like a person almost because I don't want to make eye contact with him. That's all. That's me on neurodivergency and its relationship with friendship and human connection. Rambly, but that's how it be sometimes. So you just gotta deal with it, you know? You just gotta deal with it. It's always good to just hear someone talk. That's it. Also, the channel that I'm uploading this on is, the name of it is Satire. I thought it would be funny to name like a channel The Alpha Guy to make fun of like those actual accounts are like, here's how to be alpha and whatnot. And I was like, you know, I'm gonna steal that, but like I'm not gonna be toxic. I'm just gonna talk about stuff and ramble about my existence. But first video up, I guess. Okay.